Okay, I'm here. I'm Jasmine Renee Davis. Oh, my. I'm about to call this number here. Okay.
Just calling 211. If this is an emergency, please hang up and dial 911. For English, press 1. Para continuar en español, oprima 2. If you are calling about substance use recovery, press 3. For referrals to mental health support, press 6. For all other needs, press 0. To better serve you, please enter your 5-digit zip code. If you don't know your zip calls may be monitored or recorded for quality and training purposes.
If you are in Milwaukee County and you need assistance with housing issues or are homeless and need emergency shelter, please press 1. If you need assistance with alcohol or other substance abuse issues, press 3. For all other needs and concerns, please press 9.
Oh, we don't even have a potato chip. Not even one. There's some soy sauce.
211 is interested in your feedback. If you would be willing to answer a few questions regarding your service today, we would like to call you back within the next few minutes. To provide feedback at the end of this call about your experience with 211, press 1. Press 2 if you do not wish to provide feedback. Please hold for the next available specialist.
Now, if you ask me for something to repay you with money, then that's something different. To pay for the services I'm using with actually you like dollars.
Hi, good morning. So Jennifer, the Impact 211. Can I get your first and last name, please?
I can tell you my name. My name is Jasmine Renee Davis.
I'm sorry, what was the first name again?
It is Jasmine. And my name is Jasmine Renee Davis.
The last name is Davis.
My name is Jasmine, Jasmine, Renee, Renee, Davis, Davis.
Yes, but Renee is part of your first name, middle name, or last name?
I have just one name, Jasmine Renee Davis. So you can put that as last name or whatever you want to put, family name or whatever. But it's my name. I'm Jasmine Renee Davis, and that's legally what I refer to. That's on my paperwork, and that's how I want to keep it.
Yes, but Renee, what is that? Is that your middle name, or is that your part of your last name?
Yeah, you can put it as my middle name. You asked me what's my first and my last name, but I told you it's Jasmine Renee Davis because I want Renee to be on any documents that you have because I use my full name.
Okay. Give me a second.
No, I can hold the phone though.
Okay, and how do you spell Renee?
What name?
Renee.
Renee.
And what is your date of birth?
June 12th, 1986.
You said 86?
1986, yes, 1986, I said.
And your address?
I don't have one to give, but I can tell you an email address.
And just a zip code.
53144.
And how could I assist you today?
I have a court order, and so I'm just calling because I was told that I had to establish some sort of residence, and so I'm calling to look for that. And just kind of how it is. I don't have a residence. I've been staying outside for a year. And so that's the reason why I'm calling. So I'm sure you all have some listings of some shelters in Wisconsin, surrounding areas that have availabilities and different things like that.
Okay, so you're calling seeking shelter?
Yeah, I know I had called you all on February 24th, 2025, and you all told me to go to like a casino and different places like that because they were open 24 hours a day. But that wasn't about a court order. This is about a court order. So...
Okay, Jasmine, give me just
I'm
a
Jasmine
second.
Renee Davis, not just Jasmine. I'm Jasmine Renee Davis.
Okay. Okay, one moment, please. Okay, sorry about that. So where did you sleep last night?
Oh, outside.
Are you just seeking shelter for yourself?
Well, yes, for now it's only me, but eventually I would more than likely probably have my son, but right now it's just myself.
And do you have any income?
Can you define income?
What was that?
Can you define income? Can you hear me? I said, can you?
Income would be money that you receive on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis.
Oh, okay. I get child support payments. So, why you ask me that?
It's just a question we ask.
For what reason, though?
To see if we can provide any type of referrals. It's just a routinary question that we ask for shelter.
Okay. Sure. I see. I wanted to know more about it.
Okay, so give me just a second while I see what's available in our database. One moment, please.
I can hold the phone. I keep my own time. Can you hold the phone just for a moment, please? And you don't have to hold. I can call back, but I have to answer this call. Hello, I'm Jasmine Renee Davis.
Hi, Jasmine. My name is Melanie. I'm calling with Kenosha County Program Integrity. Do you have a few moments?
I'm actually on another call right now. You said with the program integrity? Okay. Can you call me back in about 30 minutes? Because I'm interested in knowing what you're calling about. You said program integrity, huh? Okay. Yeah, you can call me back, though. I'm on a call right now. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Hello? Oh, actually, hello?
Hello. Yeah.
Okay. Who am I speaking with?
Kenosha County Program Integrity.
Oh, you know what? You can go ahead and talk. I suppose the other call did not stay on, so you can go ahead and talk.
Okay. So can I get you to verify your date of birth just so I can make sure I'm speaking to the right person?
I'm Jasmine Renee Davis, and my date of birth is June 12, 1986. And you say you're calling out of Kenosha County?
Correct. Correct. So you had submitted a
Wisconsin.
fraud referral. Yep. Kenosha County, Wisconsin. You had submitted a referral that you needed some forms signed, or not signed, but you had submitted the referral in regards to the forms that you were looking to get to sign to prove competency.
What's the name of those forms?
There isn't a form that we are aware of, and that's why I'm calling you. You had called and reported that you had, hang on. You had called and reported that you had reported, you had called and reported that the forms that you had wanted were because the...
Can you speak up so I can hear you more? Because I'm not really hearing much of what you're saying. I hear you, but I'm not. You sound... I don't know. The volume is... I'm trying to turn up my volume on my phone, but... Yeah, my volume is at as high as it goes. You said I called and what?
You had called and reported that you had needed some forms in regards to competency. Correct?
And what happened?
So the forms that you are requesting don't exist.
Who did I supposed to have called and when? When did this call take place?
You had called. Yep, you had called. You had called yesterday in regards to the, let me see, Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025. It doesn't say when you called because you had, yeah, it doesn't say when you called. You had called and reported that you had false reporting crimes and criminalizing you. Competency and health are also a problem affecting you, cannot give your life, and you do not want to be in your custody. And
I
you
did not
requested
say
that
that.
forms
No, that is
be
not.
mailed
You're not
to
reading
you
that
some
right. You're not
compliant
reading
form.
that right. You're not reading that right. You're not reading that right.
Okay.
Where are you reading
Okay.
that from, though? Where are you reading that from?
The report that you had submitted online.
Okay. And so, who did I submit that report to online?
The Kenosha County Program Integrity handles the health and food share sides of it.
But I did not call either. And
Okay.
you know that.
So
So where is this
the
coming
number that
from?
you called,
First of all, wait. Can you just begin just to be honest? You said program integrity. What does that mean?
program integrity is just verifying that the programs are being handled in the right manner. And it's programs that handle healthcare and food share.
But I didn't call about that. So what's the reason for your call? I did not call anybody talking about that.
So the line that you called handles the programs that are the healthcare, the food share, the childcare, the W-2. If that's not the program integrity line that you're trying to reach, then you would have to call a different number.
So did you so I believe you all are doing a lot of different mixing and you're trying to fish or get something, a bait, and different programs are you're trying to bunch everything together and see if I'm just looking to just fight you all or get a report out. And I'm not serious, but like you trying to pacify me or something. That is not what happened. I call for food share. I call WKRP. Is that what you're talking about? Wisconsin Kenosha Receiving Partners.
We do work with them.
I didn't call them about what you listed from a different email. That email was to Department of Health Services.
Okay.
That was not to you about food share, any of that. But you all are trying to figure out what it was about, and so they're gonna push it off to you so it could be light work or something. I don't know, but you're not being honest because I did not. That's not what happened. I did not call them, and then you say you don't know when I called, but then you said it was yesterday.
Well, it doesn't give us the time that the allegation has come in. It just gives us the description of the allegation because you had requested to remain anonymous.
No, I did.
Provided this.
Oh, I requested to remain anonymous, but somehow you got my phone number and my name and you're calling me. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah. So when you call in, it lists at the beginning, it provides a individual statement, I guess. And you can list that you are calling in regards to the case, in regards to the allegation or what it is that you're calling about. There was nothing in that section, but the section that listed your name and address was done online or in a phone call, and it was provided to us.
No, I never say I'm anonymous, so that's dishonest. And so I'm going to file a report against that. You need to change that because y'all not going to have me out here invisible and say that I put anonymous. I never put that. And so that is disrespectful, and it's, that is going to cause some problems here real quick. I did not put anonymous. That is not true.
Okay.
But if I put anonymous, why would I put my information? Why are you calling me? If it's supposed to be anonymous.
the
If it's
forms that you
supposed,
requested from our agency are not existent. If you were
how
looking
how
to
how
call
do you know
through
that I
quote,
didn't request that from your agency? And you, the way you read it, it said that competency also is a problem. I said that I want forms for a complaint process. So what do you mean? You do have complaint forms. So what are you talking about? And you called me talking
the
about
complaint,
competency because you're being nosy and you all are putting everything together and you are familiar with my name in this case. And so you're trying to get involved and go into places where you do not fit. You want to be in the in crowd, but that is not your job. And so you want to force me so that you can get and talk to these people because you won't just apply for another job and go there. You're being dishonest. And
I'm
you
not
know
being
that.
dishonest.
No, you're being
Um,
dishonest. I did not call you all about that. No, I did not. And you're not going to work the shit out
okay,
of me. Melanie, you're not.
okay,
That is
okay.
not what happened. So how do I file a complaint against you and your agency?
To file a complaint against us, you would submit a fair hearing request.
For what? Y'all busy doing
For
motherfucker doing nothing. Ugh. It's insulting at some point. At what point do y'all decide that you're going to keep beating on me and I can't fight you back, so I use my words? At what point are you going to find how ridiculous? You know that you're not being truthful, right? You know that that's not
no,
where that
I
email went to. You know that wasn't that and how you read it, but you called and picked any word out of there and drove with that, right? Can you read that again?
no,
Because you said that I was requesting a competency form from you. And that
no.
is
It
not
says,
what that
can you mail
email
me
said.
forms for this urgent matter of reporting adult audit and complaints? This has been very serious for years now, but it is increasing to the point where there's defamation about me, slander, and other kinds of false reporting and criminalizing me. I cannot be a ward of the state. False accusations of my competency and health are also a problem. That's where you're getting the competency.
That's where you are talking about my competency and you decided to overlook everything else that I said and pull out my competency. I said also, but that was not the reason for my email. That was not the primary reason, right? But you decided.
Correct.
So why did you call me and initially say that you don't have forms for competency? So you rejected me for no reason.
No,
Yes,
we
you
don't
did. What's the
know the
reason?
competency part of it
What's the reason?
because we don't handle that part of the form. The forms that you're looking for are through the ADRC or through the
Shit.
audit, through the Kenosha County Division of Aging and Disability Services.
For what? So what form is that you're trying to say that I'm looking for?
That would be a form that you would have to speak to them in regards to.
No, but what is it? What form is that you're telling me to speak to them about?
I'm not sure. I'm not clear what form you're needing, so I'm not sure what form you would need.
So how you gonna tell me where to go about a form that you don't even know? And why would you have
I'm
me to
giving
go
you
to the
the
Aging and Disabilities Center?
because they're the ones that handle those types of forms.
What types of
But that's the
form?
form that you're looking for.
What type of form is that?
I'm sorry?
No, what type of form is that? I'm not accepting that. What type of form is that I'm looking for?
The goal for the assistance in the allowing someone to remain their own decision maker. If that's something that you're looking for, that would be something that you would want to provide or speak to the ADRC in regards to.
Okay, but that's what you're getting out of that email, or that's what they told you to call me about, right?
That is, yeah, because that is the main goal, the main focus of that report. The rest of the report, the doctors, social workers, food share the courts, hospitals, problems in restaurants, and other issues are real things. Just because all this happened to me, I can prove it's real, and honestly, it did happen to me, and I am the person doing abuse. But
I
there's
didn't
also
say
abuse
doing
involved
abuse.
and abuse of public programs and funds, too.
Uh-huh. And so what you're saying is, why would I have to get a form to make my own choices? And to have you all to revoke that at any time you want? This is
Because you could get
setup.
that cleared up by submitting the competency report through the agency.
Okay, so to submit a competency report to that agency. Now that's only talking about competency, but there are about 10 other issues as well.
Okay.
I'm a person
any of
who
them have
hears
to do with-
valuable information. I'm a
Sorry?
learner. Okay, so as you can see, Melanie, when you start saying that, it made sense. And I did hear about a form like this previously, but I didn't really look too much into it because there's all kinds of red tape as well. I don't want to have to ask somebody permission to be my own decision maker and get myself into a maze where then I'm going to be listed as like mentally ill, or I have to do all kinds of things. And then you all revoke that. I have to go to court, and then I'm forced into, because this competency thing is just by case basis. If I allow you all to do that, and I told you that I don't want to be a ward of the state. I don't want to be enslaved. I don't want to be in the state's custody that's why everybody around here in the state of Wisconsin talk to me however they want, because they believe that because I give food stamps or other things that they're paying for me. Because they sit there, they watch my videos, and they learn the little tidbits of stuff. And so they trying to boss me around and control me like I'm out of my mind. But that's not it. But I also talked about other things. There's some serious things with program integrity from much of what is listed. When I sent that email to the state of Wisconsin, that was not to specific. Well, okay, as far as food share, that could probably have a little thing to do with it's not even Division of Children and Department of Children and Families, actually. You all, that's to the Department of Human Services. But I sent this email to the Department of Health Services. Department of Human Services deals with food share and medical and child care. Child care kind of is, it deals TANF and things like that, as you stated. Yeah, that's also the Department of Children and Family Services, right?
No.
So those are what
Food share and
agency?
healthcare. Yeah, they're two different programs.
And so what Wisconsin department are those in?
Which department are the programs for health and family services?
Oh, what are those?
They are the programs that they are programs. Hello?
I'm on the phone.
Okay. So they're the programs that handle the Department of Health or Department of Health and Human Services.
I said that.
Not the family services. Family services are different.
What are you talking about, family services?
The family services are the programs that handle like the programs for child care, child support.
I also said that.
Do you need child support?
Why are you asking me that?
just trying to figure out where is the best route to send you.
No, child support was not listed in that email. So what are you doing?
Okay.
Yeah, seriously, this is some bullshit.
I handle the programs that handle the healthcare and food share.
Okay, so why are you discussing competency?
Because you had called and requested the programs to be reviewed for competency through your email.
Okay.
And so I'm just
Electronic
calling to
mail.
let you know that we don't handle the competency. We just determine healthcare and food share benefits. Right now, the case is open under just you. It's not flagged for any competency. It's not flagged for anything to do with competency. It's just open for healthcare and food share for yourself.
Okay. And what else? What did you get from all
There
of
is
that?
nothing else.
What
Right
el-
now,
what
your
else?
case is open under your name and just your name, and it just handles you. It does not reflect on any competency or any competency request on this case.
And so, what if it did? Then who would I talk to about that?
The APRC.
Okay, but it doesn't. So why would you find that the Aging and Disability Resource Center would be appropriate for me to call?
They are the ones that handle the form. They have the ones that would determine competency or basically determine you incompetent.
But that would be a what, permanent situation?
Not necessarily.
And so why are you telling me to call them to determine if I'm incompetent? And my reasoning is that competency is about different things. I don't know your job, so I'm asking you about your job. I don't know why you're calling me. My email all the stuff that's stated in my email. I can say you're incompetent because you're not telling me, and you're not the proper person to exactly speak to me and all my details about my email, but you found whatever you wanted to, and it's not even your job. So I could say, you don't know about this. You're incompetent. You need to go to jail. You need to go to a hospital, or you need some kind of treatment before you can do your job. That's what's constantly happening to me, because they don't believe that I can talk to someone about my own case, my own matters in court. Because they want me to,
Well, like I said,
they want me to hire a public defender, and I don't want a public defender.
okay.
And so because I don't
Well,
want a public
now
defender, but the thing is, are you all trying to force me to permanent incompetency and make me a ward of the state? Because what is
we're
this
not
all
trying to
about?
force you into anything.
So, but what is this all about? Can you address the other issues? And could you forward me that email that you have so I can look at what you're looking at?
The email was the request that you had sent in regards to everything that I read.
Can you forward me that and also send me an email detailing this conversation and what you're saying about who to contact for competency, the Aging Disability Resource Center and all that, so that I can have it, so that I can use it as a reference?
Okay. So I can mail that out to the Jasmine Renee Davis at Outlook.com.
Oh, that's not exactly my email address.
Okay.
So are you looking to see if that
What-
is an email? Did you get some emails from that address saying it's me? Oh, can you forward me those as well?
Yep. What's a good email address for you?
JASMINE _ RENEEDAVIS@outlook.com.
Okay.
So, do you want to look over, send me these emails, send me what you are talking about as far as competency and the things that you have listed there, and then look over my email, and you can call me some other time when you find what it is that you can talk to me about, that your job was pertaining to your job, and I'm happy to talk with you, of course, because I sent the email in, so I want to address these issues with somebody that would address them. But if it is not your job, then it should be forwarded to the appropriate places that handles those different issues, please.
Okay. Okay. I can certainly do that. That's not a problem.
It's a problem, and that's what you want to know, that it is a problem. You know, these are growing issues, and this is a very sturdy and stable foundation. And this matters. This is about my life. You're in a position,
Right,
in a workforce, in a job that you handle very strategic matters, things that are sometimes vital, literally, you know. And as far as food share and healthcare, that's important, you know. And sometimes what I look at it, it's all about life for me. But when I sent that email, it's people talking about otherwise, though, Melanie. You know what I'm saying? And so I want you to realize that and understand that. You know, there's not enough things, like, you know, there's misappropriation of funding and not enough money. And then like stores committing crimes, and where places I use these food stamps, they're literally discriminating against me and fighting me and calling the police, like they're hunting me, like they're out for hire against me. And they use that and they say like I'm in poverty, so they treat me as if I'm trash. You know, and they're over, like, just the amounts, that the inflation and all these different things. It's just not worth it to use food stamps. And so I'm trying to make sure, maintain my integrity, but it's a hard time to prove that to anybody else. As far as healthcare, I don't believe in all that stuff. There has to be another way. You all base a lot of your stuff off of different religions and practices of people that have for their own culture. You know, I've talked to Forward Health. I see how your people, you discriminate and pick and choose who you want to get better health care or not. You choose that right there in Kenosha, Wisconsin. You deny coverage. You work with the doctors. Those doctors sit out there and they tell you that they don't want to cover, they're not going to cover somebody with some sort of condition. Like, just say competency. I can tell you right now. So I called in 2023. And this is a question. This is a statement for you. I want you to hear me seriously. I'm Jasmine Renee Davis. And you said that your job is to deal with the program integrity, right? And so in 2023, my competency was raised. And I called to different places for an evaluation. Now, I have a court order for evaluation as well, right? But I had to do that on my own. But then I have a forced one too, okay, through a criminal case. Now it's 2. So I call and these people say, oh, they told me that they did competency evaluations, Melanie, but they don't do them for HMO. They didn't do them for the HMO that I have. So then I would have had to have like a public defender or some kind of attorney to request it, and they would have had to pay for it. But they said they do accept state insurance, but they accept the straight Title 19, which is the better insurance. I was told specifically that from your co-workers, okay, employees of citizens or whoever that's paying taxes in the state of Wisconsin, okay, Department of State of Wisconsin employees, more than one. Then I spoke to you all on a more thorough level. You all at Kenosha, Wisconsin, chooses what insurance I go on. HMO, you insure. If I get, like they said, the foster care insurance is basically horrible. It's not the best insurance. You don't have the best doctors. It's just bare minimum. It's a terrible insurance for foster children. That was told to me. So I hope you are taking note, because I sure am. I'm recording this. And it was told to me that you all choose on a personal level right there in Kenosha, Wisconsin, by zip code, who you put on HMO. And HMOs don't always give the best care. And then it was also said that a straight Title 19, and some HMOs give a better care than Title 19. And they were saying Title 19 give a better care. So me being on HMO, it takes away the independence for me to get a mental evaluation. It takes away my opportunity to schedule the things for myself without being criminalized. And that is a problem. And that is something that I can address. I have this information for myself, my own self. This is not something that somebody is gossiping. I heard it through anything else. Okay. This is coming from me, putting in effort constantly. I have went through so many stops and pauses and roadblocks and all this stuff to make it through. And I was told, yes, I could get my own competency evaluation. However, because of the insurance that I was put on, they denied it. But if I had straight Title 19, then it wouldn't. So if you look back in 2023, about 2023, about 2022, 2020, it probably was like the spring, summer of 2023, actually. Yes, it was actually. Okay, 2000. Yeah, okay. Because I had got out of jail in May. And so it was between May and about July. I called you all. I tried to change, and they said, okay, they're going to put me on Title 19, straight Title 19 for about 1 month. And I tried to get this evaluation, but I couldn't get the proper thing. And I have some information or whatever. But I called you all because it was open enrollment too. So I'm well informed and knowledgeable about what I'm talking to you about. And a lot of times I'm typing on my phone and I'm trying to get this stuff through. I'm working with battery strength because I don't have a constant outlet to plug my phone in all the time. And so I have to make so many calls, and then I don't know what language you all are using. I don't know the exact words. So I just put it all out there and I try to shape it to timestamp it. And then I constantly review it. And then I send you all further correspondence. However, I'm diligent in everything in the accuracy of these different products and productivity. But you all sit there, and since you talk about that you are a person who handles program integrity, that is something that I would like to make a report on, because I was told I have the video recordings of that integrity. You all are discriminating and doing prejudice, and it's mass incarceration where these doctors tell you they're not going to treat someone with a mental illness because whatever. And so then you all want to prove the authorization, but then they make it seem like to the patient that you all are not approving, but in the contract, they're saying that they're not gonna see that, because first of all, you all aren't paying them enough. But then so it's like, then they give somebody some kind of disease or something that they don't even cover. And then I was told, these doctors have told me, like for instance, at Aurora Hospital, they said that they have to diagnose to get paid. Children's Hospital told me that they have to diagnose. I said, wait a minute, why? They said, it's not saying that you're like that or your children are like that, but we have to put some kind of diagnosis or we won't be able to see you. We won't get paid. This is what your insurance is telling me to do, to put a diagnosis out there on you. It can be changed, but that's the only way we're getting paid. So you all are forcing people into diagnosis that is causing problems. Like right now, I have a CHIPS case where my son, my integrity, my health, and my stability is being questioned. That's one reason why they keeping my son. That's why Kenosha Human Development Services, Kenosha Police Department hunted me and stalked me in Chapter 51 me, because they got all these reports saying that I'm sick or whatever. And I sit there and allow these people, because they're all telling me, hey, go talk to somebody, work through your problems. And I'm like, I'm not a snitch, or, you know what I'm saying? I'm a woman. So I don't want to put all my business out there and people starting to fight me because I'm talking on Facebook so much. You know what I'm saying? So I can talk to these people and then I stay out of jail. And so I was talking to these people, but they were diagnosing me or telling me to diagnose myself so that they can get paid and see me, but it was causing a problem. They were making me look more sick than I was. And so it was like you all had it out for me to basically pull me away from myself, because you were finding that I was being sick and I wasn't getting better. These people are putting diagnosis, short-term minimum diagnosis on people and keeping them on drugs for a lifetime. High blood pressure, diabetes, all these different things. Those are temporary things that can be adjusted with food. You say you food with food share. You all don't give enough food money for food share so people can eat. Food is medicine too. You know what I'm saying? It's not artificial. This is the natural thing. People can be able to buy soil and make their own. This ground is not even really fertile out here. And so people are forced into healthcare. You all cover all this stuff for healthcare, but it's very minimal. You give all of the things that nobody can really use, stuff that breaks down. These doctors don't care. They're criminalizing me. They send me to mental health, and mental health is like a death. Mental illness is like a death sentence, because they say you can't repair the mind. And so they say it's a physical thing, but because, you know, whatever reason, they say, well, you have state insurance and this is what the state is saying. And then they say, well, you know what? Here's some mental health medicine for your pain. If I have pain, why are you putting me on mental health drugs? That's murder, Melanie. And you need to hear this from me. I am the exact person who can tell you the truth, and I can back it up. I can give you so much work where you will grow in your profession and you will advance beyond your wildest goals, your plans. I know this for a fact. I'm not a hater, because somebody has to do something. I'm out here doing this on my own. But if this is your job, you need to make sure that you are effective and you have integrity and you're really documenting this proper. You're not going to be liked all the time. People do not like me for doing what's right. But if you're going to talk to me, then you have to be honest about it. And I can give you all the information that I can tell you that is ethical and that I want to tell you, but I'll be secure, and integrity is not the question for me. You all are allowing people to murder other people and diagnosing them with mental illness just because they want to silence people. They're asking for organs and they're asking for people to get on this list. You got people showing up one religion, but then they are sent, the ambulance take them to another hospital that's not even their religion, and they're forced to this unfair competition and long-standing contest. It's a fucking mess. These people aren't even a religion where your ambulance are taking them to. And so they're having things like circumcising boys without the permission of the parents, or people. They're not telling you. like giving the option. Like people are believing that they have to circumcise their sons. They're putting women on birth control and asking them for their wombs. And doctors are saying because you live with somebody else, you should not have babies. And so they basically want to take somebody's womb. And they have people 19, 20, 25 years old, 30 years old, not even really fully even developed yet, Melanie. By true standards, not by what somebody wrote on the paper, because they want to hurry up and rush somebody through life and they want to use their body as an organ transplant or something like that. But they are having these people to involuntarily volunteer their life, whether it be through social workers, through these hospitals, and through clinics, and through right there where you work in that same building at the job center in the state of Wisconsin. Or they're literally having people to go through surgeries to remove their teeth. They're not properly giving these women like me. I had a baby at 19 years old. And I'm saying all this like this because I know I can talk to you about this all day, but I'm giving you some key points. So I really hope that I want you to be able to keep up. And if you have some questions, you can write them down and ask me, but I have to get this out here because it's time, because this is why I sent the email. I have other stuff that I have to do, but nothing else is important than what's happening right now. The nurse told the doctor, first of all, he had me into preterm labor. Okay. He bust my water bag. Didn't even educate me on that. Didn't even let my baby come out when my baby was ready. He induced my labor and bust my water bag. That's unethical. That's abuse. They're making premature children that are not getting the vitamins, and they're stealing the placenta. All those nutrients for the child and the mother or whoever is involved in this process of making the baby. These hospitals are literally taking the placenta and whatever else they grab up out of a body, okay? But then my blood was draining out. And the nurse was so alarmed where she's telling the doctor, and I watched her as I'm 19 trying to push a baby out. She was literally tapping him, telling him that I'm losing too much blood. And she looked like she was in despair. And he started kind of smiling, laughing, and he's trying to use a hand motion to signal to her no, it's okay. He ignored it. He did not refill me on any vitamins or anything. I didn't even get proper nourishment in the hospital. And I was rushed out of the hospital within not even a full 2 days. Come on. All of that blood went out of my body. And then not only that, I had a big abscess from my tooth that would swell up like a size of a baseball or a tennis ball. Probably more like a tennis ball. Okay? That doctor didn't even treat me the whole time. I was in the hospital right there. I had to get out the hospital, went to another hospital after I just had given birth. And you know what they did? Instead of putting me on whatever they drained, they literally forced me into surgery, put me to sleep. And did surgery on me at 19, just days after I had a baby. They did not fill my blood back up. They did not give me a bag of vitamins like they should have. They did not give me the things that I needed to get. Okay. And then they sent me right off to a whole nother hospital to have surgery that wasn't even a surgery. I was already in the hospital. Why did that doctor overlook that? He was looking at me. He bust my water bag. And if he would tell the truth, or whoever those hospitals are, that, you know what, they're making premature children, they would be shut down. That is inhumane to force all of these. I've had 2 children, and my water bag, they induced my labor. They were horrible to me, mean to me. Did not tell my children came into this world from epidural. That's not fair. You don't drug children and put them through all the mama's body or mother's body, whoever is carrying this child. body through all kinds of stuff and drug these children. They had me on Tylenol 3 when I was pregnant with my son, but then later tell me, oh, all I needed was some manganese. They were not prescribing me the proper medicine. They were trying to force me, or my body is a hostile environment for the children that I was carrying. That lacks integrity fundamentally on every single level of facet, degree, system. I don't even know what to name it. That is attempted murder. And these are the big problems that people can grow from and change and improve. And that's what I'm about. I have to go. I went back to that same doctor and I told him, instead of him telling me that I need more vitamins and that because I had just had surgery and all that, you know what he told me? That he would put me in a mental health hospital and put me on mental health drugs, mental illness drugs. He tried to give me some pill to put me out that day in the hospital. My vision was seeming I was just depleted of my vitamins. I was trying to form milk. They weren't telling me how to properly do that. They robbed these children and put them on formulas so that they can constantly control the narrative instead of educating properly. That is something that you have to know about since you want to talk about food share and health. That man knew better. And he never once told me, you know what? You just had a baby, not even a month ago. Not even probably 3 weeks ago. I'm going to admit you into the hospital, get you on some vitamins, take care of you, and do what he was supposed to do. He chose to put me in a mental illness facility and leave me for whatever purpose that they would do. And those places are horrible at times. The ones that I've been in, they don't treat people that are being accused of mental illness very well. And that's illegal. And so through further education, that's why they have the school to prison pipeline, because I had no idea. I had no idea. I didn't have a sex partner or anything like that. It was just me. I was still an adolescent, 19 years old, 19 years of age. Okay, so I was starving for nutrition. All of the blood that came out of me, unusual amount of blood. At night, I was 169 pounds. And I lost more blood than that alarmed a nurse in the labor and delivery department. Come on now. That same doctor continued to do abusive things time and time and time again. That's abuse. And you need to know that. And I'm being told that the state of Wisconsin is allowing these things. You all are using it as your protocol, as your system, as your rules, as your terms of engagement. You are making contracts to basically tell them to kill or to harm or to injure people and then send them off to be mentally ill. That's why people talk about being brain dead and stuff like that. It seems like their mind is crazy and everyone is afraid of them. Everyone is saying that person's going to snap, that person's going to do something. And their organs, everything is totally fine. And you send them to the mental hospital and you drug them to a coma. And then it's like they're dead, but they're not. And you all mishandle people and don't even wake them up, or you don't do it how you're supposed to. Ain't no peace. It's not about peace. It's about living, about knowing, adjusting, and rising to the occasion, having capability. I can't stand for this and allow this to keep happening, Melanie. This is real. And it don't knock at everybody's door. It's not in everybody's zip code. But I was told from WKRP, Wisconsin Kenosha Racine Partnerships, and from Forward Health that this is valid information. And it has been told to me from more than one of these professionals that work in your call centers. And it was a supervisor that told me that she said that she knows that I have the recording now. You all make these contracts with these doctors and these hospitals. And you're forcing people to betray. And then it's why can't nobody speak up for them? They're being judged wrongfully when they go to court because they're going outside of their religion and what they believe in and being forced in these hospitals, and they're being murdered. And they're people, or they're soldiers, they're missionaries, they're leaders. They're all of these different people. The children are being murdered. And then people that don't even have a religion are being forced into these places. Your community centers do not have enough resources. You can do better than this. It is a law to have insurance. It is right now. There's a program telling me that I have to have a house to get my son back. I have to do all these different things. I have to have a valuation. But then it's saying I can't pay my own money. It was times where I tried to get iron. Walgreens have betrayed me so many times. So suspicious. They changed my pills when they didn't know that I had the state insurance. When they believed that I was paying, or they did not associate my name and my date of birth in my insurance. But they said it was the same exact prescription, but they could not give me those pills. They had to give me a total different pill. I said, why? It's the same prescription. They said, yes, but we have to give you a different pill. They wouldn't refuse to give me my iron. I had to go in there and cut up in their place. I literally had to cause a scene to get the awareness of their supervisor in the Walgreens clinic on 80th Street in Kenosha. They told me that they refused to give me I said, I'm here to get the iron for Jasmine Renee Davis, June 12, 1986. They said, okay, here it is. They pulled it right out. It was stapled. A doctor from Freighter out there, and I think like Paddock Lake or something like that, Bristol, whatever, off of 75th Street had sent it in, but they said he didn't put my date of birth on there. And they said, they had it all packaged up, stapled, everything was there. They held it up. I said, okay. They said it was probably like, I don't even know, not even $10, but I had the money. And they said, oh, what's your date of birth? And I told them, and they said, confirm the address. And they said, oh, you know what? We can't give you these. I said, why? I said, I can pay for it. They said, you have insurance. I said, oh, that's fine. Just run it through the insurance then, and you give me that. And they said, no, they could not give me those pills. I said, it's the same prescription. That's what the doctor ordered. So what are you talking about? They said they're all out of vitamin, all out of iron. I said, it's right there in the pack. I was in the drive-thru. They said, no, we're all out of vitamins and your insurance is not going to cover it. You're going to have to come back some other time when we get more in. I said, what do you have in there? There was some red iron pills. So then I went in. I said, fuck this. I went in and I'm serious. I went into there and had somebody in the car with me. And I had been shopping and I had eat and I was ready to get these vitamins and go head into where I was going. And it was nighttime. And I went in there and I asked them and they said, I cannot pay for the prescription or I'll be kicked off the state insurance or whatever, but they could not give me the pills at all. Not even if I paid for it. I said, I paid the full price. I need these. I had asked the doctor for some iron. They said they didn't have any, but they literally had a bag. So 30, 45 minutes later, after I argued with them there, almost everybody that was working there. They were so awful to me. They called the store manager and everything. They were trying to abuse me. They were trying to talk me down. They could not. To the point where the supervisor had to come, Melanie. Then somebody happened to come off a break or come from somewhere and say, oh, we found some iron. They were green iron pills. And they said to that person, like, what are you doing? No. And so they didn't even want to give me those. This is the truth. The dates will always match up. That's Walgreens. That's not the only thing that happened. Another thing happened in Racine, Wisconsin, off a 3 Mile Road at a Walgreens off of Douglas Avenue. Same similar thing. It was Cymbalta. The Cymbalta is a mental health drug, and it was not explained to me properly. It's an awful drug. But it gets in your system, and it's a strong drug. But it causes other problems or whatever, but it's not a pain drug. I was over 300 pounds and I was having some pain or whatever, and it was prescribed to me as pain. And then come to find out it was for mental health. So it was them saying that I was mentally ill when I wasn't. And so a lot of my care was being based off, you know what, this person is mentally ill. They don't know. They're telling me like they weren't listening to me because they were believing that I wasn't in my right mind. And so that's going to take away the integrity to make my own decisions or for things to be accurate because they're putting me on all these mental health. So it's the little steps that they were taking to harm me along the way. And I was literally an innocent bystander. I was believing them. I would take a pill. They would prescribe it to me. I don't do that anymore. I haven't taken any pills in years. But the place said, oh, okay, well, we can't give you I said, what is it? This is the generic Cymbalta or whatever. Why can't you? They said, no, your insurance is telling us to give you a different pill. I said, no, this is the pill. This is the prescription for my name. Why aren't you giving it to me? They said, no, they're not giving it to me. You all want them to give some other pills. I had to fill out some paperwork to give to a doctor and all kinds of stuff. It was ridiculous. I've been through another one, State Street, Racine. They're touching all on the pills. I was in jail. They had me on blood pressure medicine. I didn't even believe in it. And it was shutting down my blood vessels. That's not proper. But they had me to a specific standard of what they believe in their culture. I'm not living on a low plateau in my life. I want to have higher. I want my blood pressure to be higher. Thicker veins. I want my blood to flow properly. They were giving me medication. I researched it. It was literally shrinking my blood vessels. That's what that hypertension medication does. And they prescribe it differently from black people and white people and other people. I've talked to doctors about it, and they were even saying it's not fair all the time. Because there are some that actually open up the blood vessels, and there are some that literally shrink the blood vessel. And they were trying to give me this stuff, and that was shrinking. And that's why people feel like they're out of breath, because their blood vessels are shrinking. So the oxygen and the platelets are already trying to build and cause problems, and they're more bigger than the blood vessels. So I had went to jail, and they refused, they called the police on me for pain medicine. At Freighter South, I made an appointment. They did not want to see me. They called the police on me, refused to even let me go to the walk-in clinic, knowing that I did not have any more prescription. I thought I was going to die because they told me if I did not take all these medicines they had me on, that it can cause a stroke or a heart attack. All this. They were being dishonest, but they messed with my way of seeing things to frighten me, to scare me into being on their drugs. And I literally was in jail. The Kenosha Sheriff Department sit there and held me with the windows up as I was begging for my life. And I was criminally charged. The hospital called the police on me. They knew I was coming, and they did not want to give me any pain medicine. And they wanted to keep me on. My back was hurting. Whatever it was hurting for weeks. And so I went there and I told the doctor that I had been smoking marijuana, whatever, but I brought it with me and everything, and they set me up and sent me to jail. But those sheriff deputies basically tried to suffocate me. They tried to break my foot. My foot was stuck under there, and they watched me, and they stood there and they were laughing while I was basically gasping for air. I hadn't had my blood pressure medicine. They had me on anxiety medicine. I was on Cymbalta, and the reason why I asked for the anxiety medicine because they told me, what it was about. And I said, right now I'm being prosecuted because the people don't like how I talk. So I was going through some things with my daughter, and my daughter was in some big, huge trouble. People were harassing me in my home, and I did not want these people that were in my life to give up on me because I was not so I knew that the drugs would do something, but that is not who I am. And so the doctor had talked to me about different options or whatever, but I tried to go to aquatic therapy as well. They did not want to follow through with the orders for that. So they called the police on me. Total racial disparity. It was just me. It was an attack. The nurse had stepped on my foot. It was awful. They were totally abusive. And what they do is send people off to jail. They get them hooked on these drugs. They don't give them the prescriptions. And then they have called the police on me. And then there's times where I won't get the prescription. People get on drugs and they hold them from them. They get them on them. And then they, like in jail, they say, you're on these drugs, and they put them on all these drugs and stuff like that. And they say, oh, I don't like the way you're talking to me. A person can say, why don't you clean up around here? And they say, oh, you don't talk to me like that. We're going to write it down that you refused. This is what they're doing with people who are being put on drugs and medication. And that is what your job, I'm sure, is all about. I've named just a few instances where now these people are forcing me because I don't want to go to their doctors, because I speak out about stuff like this. They're criminalizing me. They're trying to send me to jail because I believe differently. That is a huge program problem. These social workers, they're a mess. They're so messy. They're playing around in the offices. They're mean. They're abusive. They don't understand anything, and they're policing and abuse, whatever they're doing, being totally unethical. The malpractice is tremendous. And it harms people, and it harms leaders too. That people that, you know what I'm saying? It makes it hard. You all are not putting the proper funding out there. People are not even getting the proper education to even learn about medicine or anything throughout kindergarten through 12th grade. The colleges are discriminating, trying to force people into mental illness now. They try to force me into mental illness at Gateway. And I'm like, what is this? They try to reward me like, hey, if you do it, you can go on trips to the movies. You go to Illinois. You go all these places. It's a mess out here. So, I've said so much to you right now.
Uh-huh.
And, this is something that, as you saying, I don't know what that means, but this is something that you ought to know. And I want to make reports about it. Okay? This is very serious, Melanie. And it's causing people to be more sick than they have to be. People don't have to be sick. People have to live. This is why nothing is getting done. Nobody's building houses. It's just a really hard, difficult problem. And it should improve. Things should absolutely get better.
I agree.
You agree with what?
I agree with all of it. All of it needs to be improved.
But what do you mean by improved?
It needs to be improved. Like the story that you told about the birth that you had. The doctor should have listened to you. The nurse should have stepped in and taken control of the situation. All of that needs to be improved. That's not something that we handle, though. that would be a situation that the hospital would have to control.
But this is what you all pay those people. And just like this, how about this? They're saying that these people are getting postpartum depression. There are even white people that get it, right? But it's a lot of black people. It's not, these people are wondering, what's wrong with me? How come I can't hold my baby? I feel so weak. I feel totally different. Because they have lost blood. Blood is supposed, and this is why people, and then they're constantly wanting blood tests. They're draining blood. The body is supposed to maintain a specific amount of blood. If they're losing gallons of blood, and then they're saying, oh, it's just postpartum depression. And then they're putting them on drugs to trick their mind with endorphins and dopamine, giving them artificial things so that they can, and the whole time they're wasting away. And it's like, people are seeing that and they won't admit it. And so they say eventually these people are dying, or they throw them in jail because of their behavior, because they're crying out like, no, this is not right. I don't have the blood. This is not right. Or they say they're going to take their children from them. And all you all need to do is, it is your problem, but it's not, I'm not worried about it. It's notice though. It's further than the hospitals, because you all make the contracts with the hospital. You all go into covenant. You sign a contract. And let these people do it. And you put people on these programs. And when I call and ask to explain it, they don't even want to tell me. They hang up the phone on me. They don't want to tell me about the policy. They barely even say who they are. They're giving drugs to literally stop people's body. It shuts them people down. They're literally prescribing lethal combinations with mental health drugs and other systematic, like nervous system type of drugs, where it's literally stopping people. I read it. It shuts down the reactors or whatever sensors are in somebody's body that would tell them to walk, to move their arms, to write in pens and stuff. And that's why they say, oh, well, somebody might have had this and that, or whatever the situation is. It can even eventually delay somebody's ability to even open their eyes or anything. And then they have people out in the cold. Wisconsin is cold as it is, but it all goes together. It's murder. But you said that's not your problem. But you said you deal with medical, with not medical, but healthcare and food share, right? So what is it? What is your job all about? Because you don't agree with me, because that's not the same. Because until it's knocking at your door exactly, or you get the right books that are being written, it's one thing to hear the information, but it's another thing to literally put me in captivity and steal it and still try to trash me. Because I'm intelligent enough. I know what this job is about. Just by you saying program integrity. But I know what it should be, but what you are called to do is totally, apparently, and obviously, and from what you said, something else. So that's why me personally, and this is awesome to prove, this is why I asked, what do you mean by that? Can you define integrity? Can you define program? Because I go and I put all this information out there to you. And yes, it is an important story. And yes, the nurse should have stepped in, but apparently it wasn't that important. Because people get comfortable in their position and they're afraid to be on the outside looking in, or like me, I'm being cancel culture. They're doing all kinds of stuff to me. I can barely even go in a restaurant without somebody trying to pick a fight with me. The police is coming right away. And I pay. I don't sit up there and try to take advantage. I ask them how things are, and I go with how it's supposed to be. So what is it that your job is all about?
My job is handling the claims that come through the call center. The allegations. This is, the description of the allegation that came through to us. My job is to handle those allegations.
And so what allegations would those exactly be?
That would be the allegation that you had requested the forms for the urgent matter of reporting audit and complaint.
No, not what I said.
Email.
What about your job? Like, what can you handle that comes through your job?
I can only handle the complaints that come through to us.
So what kind of complaints can you handle?
Food share and health care.
And so can you give me a description of what those could be?
For food share, so if someone were to call and state that, the client was misusing the food share, we could look into that claim. If the client was calling to say that they were getting health care unfairly, we could look into that.
What else?
We don't have the ability to go in and revamp the hospital system. We don't have the ability to do that.
Oh, no. I didn't ask you that. When you say that someone was getting health care unfairly, can you actually speak more about that? Because as you're on the phone, this may be a topic of discussion for me to talk to you about, and you say claims, because I have more than just claims. And that's why I asked for the form so that I can write them out in detail. But what do you mean by someone receiving health care unfairly? I know you did mention that someone can call and report a recipient of food share, like if they're doing fraud, so to criminalize somebody or to regulate someone on what they could possibly be doing illegally. But what does it mean for health care unfairly?
So basically the same thing. So if someone were to say, let's say they had a job and they were making $100,000 a year and they were receiving health care, if they were receiving it unfairly and unnecessarily, then we could look into that.
Well, so what you're saying is that you are contributing to, this is how I look at the situation. You don't take complaints about the abuse of people. You take complaints to abuse people. You contribute to the mass incarceration, or you police people. Wait a minute. Or I'm saying this because these are all effective. You fight crime, but you don't fight enough to make sure that what you're doing is protecting only the people who are working for the people that you refuse to protect. So like taxpayers, right? But usually people who are getting your insurance don't have a job, like you said. If they're making too much money, they don't qualify for the insurance for the state of Wisconsin that you regulate. So you're using people who are not paying taxes or don't have the availability because maybe they have a criminal charge. Maybe they have some sort of situation where, they are trying to heal from any situation, or maybe it's just something is happening that is at that time, like with me. I'm not interested in being employed with someone. They're getting it so far where they're going to force me through court order to get a job. Okay. But I'm taking care of myself. And so you all use these people who may just go through a change. Like, for instance, Gateway Technical College are using students now. It's getting so to the point where they are a college referring their students to public aid, to food stamps or food share in healthcare. That's so unethical. It's ridiculously pathetic. That is not what a campus should be about. They call themselves a community. And when I went to Gateway, I said, I never knew that college was like that. I was beginning to see, and I wanted to advance to university. I wanted to take a whole different approach, but I found that they were doing more criminalizing and they have more abuse in systems, of course. I'm not asking you to revamp it. I'm telling you about things that I want to talk about that you all are contributing to. And it is the integrity of your program, but because that is not what it's about. So I'm asking you, can you email me your policies on your program and what the integrity means for those programs so that I can understand? Because I am going to be competent with everything I have my hands on. You said yourself that I have a case. Please hear what I'm saying. With my name on it. Only my name. So I want every information about it. And I should have that. And you can mail that stuff out to the mailing address that you have on file.
Okay.
As soon as possible, please. Send all your policies and how you do your stuff. Send also your letterhead describing who you are and your position and all that, because I want to be able to talk to you all. Okay. And this is how things are. I want to understand, because I do not want to be forced into some. I already really don't. I don't like getting food stamps. I do not like, but right now I'm going through something, but it's not mental illness. But also I was told that those diagnoses like neglect could also mean for someone trying to neglect me. You see what I'm saying? Right. But I have to carry that weight, and I have to go through the process of elimination and take the fall no matter what it is. When people are being transparent, you know, when people are looking at the situation and being honest and it's clear, but they're also being nosy, putting their hands where it doesn't belong. Like you mentioned something, you went over all of this stuff. You should have opened your call. I didn't tell you how you did it. You did it how you want to. I appreciate that. But you did not say, hey, I'm calling about the forms. You rejected me immediately, Melanie. But there are forms that I can file. If you cannot handle them, you forward them to the appropriate department. Your department deals with the situation of you are basically making sure that you charge people who are utilizing food share benefits inappropriately. You're not saying anything about the people who are putting nasty food out there in the stores for people to buy on these food share programs, and it's, got all kind of stuff in it, or it's spoiled. Like, I don't eat animals. I don't eat animal products. So I don't eat all those artificial chemicals. If I can get a 1 ingredient food, I'm doing great. But I have to study all myself. I have to see. Some people say that they don't like enriched foods because it's all kind of different things. But I say I have to kind of try to get some enriched food because I'm not getting the vitamins that I need. I have bowel movements throughout the day. I urinate because of the way that I eat, and my body is clean. But then I have to continue to eat and, continue to replenish and hydrate. But there are places out there, there are no grocery stores or whoever it is, they're not properly handling the fresh foods. They're keeping the better foods at the bottom away from people. Or you know how people know that usually if you're on food share, you're getting your food share benefits between the 1st and maybe like the 16th or something of the month. And during that time, they put all this mess out there, and then you go at a different time of the month. And I see for myself that sometimes in these places, the quality of the food is changing. Yes, those people have to eat, and they're giving pieces of what the actual plant is, or what the actual, whatever it is, the processed food in there. That's all that they have to offer. That is program integrity, because that is not, and I want you to send me what the reason for food share and medical really is. Because I believe I believe in myself enough to know that that is not the reason for the food share program. This is supposed to be nutrition. It's not like I'm talking about women and infant care like WIC, but I'm literally, and WIC is only up to 5 years old or something like that. They don't even properly educate. But then like breast milk and things like that, these doctors are doing malpractice. The body has to develop and create these milk ducats and all these different things, and they're not properly teaching. They're putting people on drugs. They're forcing, the schools have forced me to diagnose myself. It's one thing to have a school diagnosis, but then they want him to be like that in public. That is not fair. They're cross-examining and blending in with the school to prison pipe, and it's a mess. You have sections. People should be able to exit out those buildings as best as they can without having it to be a community effort. You all are making money in ways that you are not supposed to. That is integrity. People are being forced because they want independence, but they're not getting independence. They're walking into a slave ship, and it's invisible. And you have to realize that. People live their life and they run off of more than just what people have, atoms and chromosomes and all these things that are really important. And then just like in the schools, Melanie, when they have that, you all need standardized testing because your program funds the schools with free and reduced lunches. The program that you work for. Okay. And then when they want to get these same state testing, they make sure these children have a little cup of 3-ounce juice, a pack of graham crackers, and a number 2 pencil. Because they make sure that they eat, because that tells you the concentration matters, because there's levels. I have been hungry. I have felt dehydrated and malnourished. Soon as I have a bowel movement after some food I eat, soon as I urinate, that's why I try to eat beans as best as I can. And some of that doesn't even work. But I feel so hungry and like, oh my goodness, I'm literally feel like I'm taking large steps to wherever I'm going to get some food. It's like, I know I'm going to get there, but I'm literally taking giant steps to get there because I'm that hungry. And so that is who handles that side of things. Okay. You handle the policing, the prosecuting. That's fine. You go ahead and you advertise your position to me or whatever. People know who you are. That's one thing. But who handles the other stuff there? Do you know?
No.
Okay. And you don't have to know that because you know your job. And you have told me that you're going to send the things about your job and what it entails or what it means. And I appreciate that because I'm on my way. I appreciate you calling me and reading that email, but I would like you to look through that list and see what else you can discuss about. But I'm not out here committing crimes. I'm not going to give you a reason to have to prosecute me. And I assume, and it's me assuming, and I don't assume much, but I can assume, but really it's me asking you a question or saying a comment is that if people are on this program to the state of Wisconsin and they have some sort of fraudulent, they're saying, they're getting health care as you stated, and they're making more money than they're reporting. But you all draft people's payments or whatever. You use a tool that you have. I'm sure there is some kind of program that you put together to rehabilitate that person, before you throw them in jail or they get charged criminally. Is that something that you have there?
Yeah, we don't try to criminalize people. We just try to correct things going forward, look at an overpayment if possible, but we don't try to criminalize them.
Right, but you handle fraud.
Correct.
And so you handle only fraud from the applicant. Like not the applicant, the person who is that is getting food share and medical? Like perhaps you can call it a patient, not the provider though.
Correct.
So you don't deal with the
Well,
provider.
it can be either. So if a client goes into, the store and the store claims that, they're fraudulently using those, we're going to look into that and we're going to see whether the client was fraudulently using them. If they were correctly using them, we're going to just kind of base it off of those.
And then, so what about, you said that you also would check references from the provider as well. So what would you do as far as that textbook knowledge?
What provider?
Whatever provider you say you not only deal with the point of view from a client or from a patient, but you deal with the provider too. You regulate that as well. Is that what you call it? Regulation?
Yeah.
So
the verifying income would be the big thing. Making sure they're within the accurate income limit.
So you verify who is the store's income. So a person who accepts food share or medical has to be within a specific income guideline or bracket.
Correct.
Oh, really? See, I did not know that. So they have to basically be public aid recipients to even open their stores to receive food stamps.
Correct.
So a person has to be low income to receive food stamps.
They don't have to be low income necessarily, but they have to be within the income guidelines. It can be, you can receive medical up until you're 156% of the federal poverty limit for the children, 100% for the federal poverty limit for adults. And then for food share, the income limits are quite substantial.
For what now? It's substantial?
For food share.
And what does that mean?
Not just 100%, and then it's just cut off. It's all income based. So as long as you're meeting the income guidelines, you can qualify for food share regardless. If if you have low income, medium income, high income, as long as you meet the income guidelines.
But that could be sometimes someone is only getting like $2 a month for food share. And a person barely can buy a bag of potato chips with that. Or some dried fruit. People do only get like less than $10 a month. I've seen it myself now. And so what's the point? To give you all control over things that you should have no control over. Because the cost of lifestyle, you're not going to go and buy a month's worth of, or even something, barely even a bottle of water. A bottle of water is over $2. And so, but you said that the provider, as far as like a grocery store or a corner store or a hospital, that's what you were saying. So how is it that they have to, what are you saying?
How is it they have to what?
No, because you were saying something as I was speaking. So what were you saying before I said that?
Oh, I was just going to further elaborate on the question.
Okay, you can.
So I was going to ask what you were specifying.
Oh, and then I was answering my own. I was telling you, if you kind of hear me, then I was explaining. I had the question and I wanted to give you a point of the question. So what I'm saying is, you have mentioned that you deal with the provider and the client or the patient, but you didn't really give me a thorough explanation of how you would regulate the provider. You said that you regulate the person who gets food stamps and the person who accepts the food stamps that are through a purchase, or either like a person that's going, a healthcare provider and a patient or a client. But you only mention things that would be like, someone who is not a business owner or whatever that is accepting the money that you all are through a stipend or whatever it is, like the food stamp card or through a medical card like Forward Health or something like that. And then I asked you, I said, oh, okay. So like if a provider is accepting food share, they have to be low income. I mean, is accepting healthcare, they have to be low income. You said yes. You also said like if a store is accepting food share, then they would have to be low income. But then that causes a problem. And I wonder, oh, okay, so all these places who accept food share with chain businesses and stuff like that, they're low income as well. And so what is low income?
So I misunderstood the question. I thought you were asking if the client had to be low income, not the provider. The provider can handle any sort of income.
True. And so, but how do you regulate the provider? And you in your position?
The provider has to meet the qualifications put through by the state, and the state handles that.
But what is your job in the whole that qualification process?
We determine whether or not the client has been approved correctly.
You said that.
In the medical.
Right, you said that, but you steady are talking about the client, but not the provider. So do you handle anything about the provider, or you would like to expand your
No, we don't handle anything to do with the provider.
But okay, so so why did you say that?
Because I misunderstood the question.
Oh, okay, because you said that you handle both. What did you understand that I had said?
The client was the low income, not that the provider.
No, my question was actually, Melanie, what do you do as far as when you regulate? Because you have mentioned that you regulate the client, you regulate both of them. You regulate the client and the provider. So I was wondering, how do you regulate? You had mentioned about regulating, or, you deal with fraud from the client, but actually, whatever that person is receiving or whatever, but then how would you deal with perhaps if it was that, or what different things do you regulate, like fraud from if a person is committing fraud that is actually accepting food stamps in their business or accepting public health care in their business or in their clinic or their establishment.
Yep. And that would be transferred over to the public assistance fraud unit. So if they are a provider, and they are misusing funds, that would be transferred to the state public assistance unit.
But how could they be misusing funds where they're making money and they can do what they want to do with their money? Is it something that they have to specifically apply that money to? Like, is it a stipend? Is it a payment? Is it a credit? What is it?
It's just the credit that goes under the card.
So those people get a credit in their payment and they have to put it toward what? Like office supplies or what?
Mm-mm. Like if they were, say they made $500 a month and we approved them for food share, they would get a card just like you have, and they would get approved for the benefits. But say they were making $5,000 a month and they just misappropriated the funds towards us, we would then handle that over to the state public assistance unit.
Wait, can you explain that again?
Mm-hmm. So if they were saying that they made $500.
Wait, who would they be? Can you tell me who's the they? Who would the they be?
The provider.
Okay. The provider but the provider is who? The provider would be who?
Like the gas station.
Oh, okay.
Gas station said they made $500 a month, they make $5,000 a month. They misappropriated the funds. We would report that to the public assistance fraud unit.
And so can you explain, you said some other things too as well, right? You said that they would have like a card that they get with like 5,000. Can you explain that?
No, the card that they receive would just be the food share card.
So the gas station.
The monthly allotment that was issued to them.
Allotment. Okay, so the gas station receives an allotment.
No, it would just be the owners of the gas station.
Right.
Like if owners were the, you know, we're applying for food share. Let's say the owners made $500 a month, but they actually made $5,000 a month, and they okay. So
This isn't exactly like
Okay.
pass or fail. It's just all valid information. So go ahead. I'm here. My phone is
Okay.
charging.
Yep. So they said they made $500 a month. They were actually found that they made $5,000 a month. They lied about how much they made. So then we would transfer that collection unit over to the public assistance fraud unit.
Okay, but this is where I'm trying to understand. Made how though? Like you said, they saying
So they
that
would,
that they only they tell you that they own. Why would they have to tell you how much money they make a month? It's their business. They're the owners of it.
because they would be reporting that income as their household income.
The owners report to you. The owners of a gas station reports their household income.
Correct. If they are applying for funds. If they are not applying for food share, then we don't look into their information at all.
So if they're applying to accept food share, not to spend food share, but to accept food share.
Mm-hmm.
No, what does that mean? Like, what are you saying?
Like, say they had a family of 4. They reported that they made $500 a month, but they actually made $5,000 a month. That could put them over the income limit if they were applying for the food share.
If I have a place of business, a grocery store, and I make $1 million quarterly, okay, and I accept food stamps so somebody can come in my stores and, you know, make food stamps. I mean, pay with food stamps. And I go and I apply and say, I want to allow people to come to my store. And there are specific items that they can or cannot use on food stamps. Like, you guys prohibit people from buying hot food on food stamps for some reason. That's interesting. But anyway, and then places can, like, you know, there are some places who sell hot food and accept food stamps. So why can't, if somebody is going there, why can't they just buy the hot food? Because not everybody has that ability to cook their food, but sometimes they might want hot food, or they could be on the go. They can be doing anything. It might want, you know, a baked potato or anything that they have, some steamed asparagus, whatever, a pizza. But you're saying that if I would have to tell you how many people are in my family, and I own like 4 grocery stores, and I would have to tell you everything that I'm making and how many people in my house to be able to accept food stamps?
Right.
Can you send me what is that called? Can you send me the policy on that? Because I'm actually interested in opening up a grocery store, and I want to know more about that.
Okay. I can add that to the list.
Please, because this is interesting. Because why would I have to tell you all it's not like you're the IRS filing taxes, but it seems like that's kind of how you do things there. It's not like me saying, hey, like for me, it was some problems where I got a notice saying I was getting $290 of food stamps, right? And I filled out the whole application. put that I get the money that I get from child support. This was just in March. This is currently March 2025. And they sent me a notice and said that I would, for just myself, that I would be getting $290 for food share. But I put everything through. There have been no changes. There haven't been changes in a while. Only change was that I took my son appropriately off of the food share because I also do not want the state of Wisconsin feeding my child. But then when I called, it significantly dropped $100. Almost like probably about 90 something dollars. How? It's because you all are calculating in some kind of way, but everything was in place. Everything went through, and that's how much I'm supposed to get anyway. But whoever put in the numbers, they misappropriate. So when I talked to a person yesterday, I was getting some trouble, and then I talked to someone else, and that person said that I had some valid points and how they seen the letter that's $290, and just some things were not adding up because everything I was saying, I was validating it. But for some reason, the number had changed nearly, $100 in the system. And I should be getting that money. And so they have a call out to a supervisor. And so, but how are you all changing that? But I applied to that. I reported, that I get this amount of money, but that's me getting the food stamps. My store would not be, using your food stamps to buy food, but it would be just like somebody come and spend cash or whatever. But is that why you all only allow, like I had went to a grocery store. I went to Fresh Time and I had got just a box of cereal. It was no medication or anything in it, but the ingredients were just like any enriched cereal, but perhaps it was real. I don't know, but they said that it had probiotics or prebiotics in it. So it was like a $10 box of cereal, like an organic type of dry cereal. But that store, when they accepted through the food stamps, and that's happened before, I had to pay my money because they said, well, I said, it doesn't say anywhere on here that there's probiotics in here or anything like that. So you all regulate what people are getting. The healthy stuff, you're saying no. So I want to know more about that as well, because I want to make sure that I'm doing what's right. The police were called on me from that same, so they gave me a hassle. But, I want to know why it is that I cannot buy healthy foods with the food share card. What is it that you all are about? Is it you want people, to be used through blind studies or to agree to some sort of study where you all use their bodies for different, like science or experiments to push whatever agenda forward so you can really get inside of what's happening? Because that's what I'm finding through a lot of these programs, because it's a lot of mental illness. It's a lot of malnutrition. It's a lot of these things, Melanie, like really that are just saying like the complete opposite what I believe that food is. Medicine is something totally different than what you all are doing. Well, you know what I'm saying? Like my interpretation, medicine is supposed to be of great power and energy and like vibration and life, living, accumulating bodily fluids and growing and being the most powerful self, nearly like magic, a superpower. But from what you all are doing and accepting, it's literally deducting from everything that is included in. But some people get more creative and figure out a way. Okay, like, I buy some a bag of beans or a can of beans and I buy different seasons. But by the time I do that, that's gonna take up most. When I buy like different sauce, like pink Himalayan sauce, sea salt, a bottle of that is like $8. So it's not enough for people to really, so it's basically, but you accept if I get those 10 or 25 cent or $1 pack of ramen noodles with all of the extra stuff, the wax and all of those things that could be whatever, but then they now have ramen noodles with different other stuff and you may not accept those or whatever, or they're not an EBT approved product. So I'm interested in that. But for you to say that all these grocery stores around here, and you know what? It's interesting because those are the ones that were calling the police on me. So you guys got this whole thing going on and you have different arrangements. And it puts people in the hands of, this is why I did send an email to Department of Health Services, because it puts somebody in the hands of the Department of Health Services. If I was to reach a point where I would have to be hospitalized, or I know I'm not going to die or anything like that in a hospital or jail, because I don't plan to die. But then if I was in jail and I died, Department of Health Services would literally keep me from releasing my body for months or whatever at a time. They would dissect my body, take my organs out, and you know this, and you have to know this. They would do all kind of autopsies on me, completely do whatever they want with my body, and even decide if they're going to give, if I have a family, anything, even if it's to the public or whatever, to my family or someone, you know, that I'm involved. I have children, but I'm keeping my body. I'm living. They would even decide if they would even release my body or they would keep it for their own purposes. Because the Department of Health Services deals with mortuary type of things, regulating dead bodies, different investigations and all kinds of things. And these people are saying that I'm mentally ill, Melanie, trying to force me through all oh my goodness, I've been through this last year and they're trying to put me through it again. And I made it through. They almost didn't even want to release me. But I got out of it. And they're going to try to say that if these doctors tell them that I'm incompetent, they may or may not release me to the custody of Department of Health Services. And I will have to be in jail for however long they want me. And they have to decide whether or not I have to be on these really strong medications that literally would take my menstrual cycle from me. They said that the medication would stiffen my body. How are you doing that just because you say that you don't know if I know how to read the law? Why would I have to go to jail for that? For public urination. And it wasn't even that. The people didn't even see me using the bathroom. I had myself covered. It was a ticket. And a police officer was stalking me. They were hunting me. And they could not take it because they could not find me doing it. So as soon as I squatted down, I could have been picking up $1 or anything up off the floor. They called the police on me and pressed charges on me with a ticket. But then that police officer went and hid her mess and requested somehow, and I went to jail. They turned it from a municipal ticket to a criminal charge. And now they're calling for my competency. Why would you do that? And when I had to go before, that's how I had a place or whatever. I'm not trying to hold on to nothing that that's not mine. But what I'm telling you is, you all are not doing things. And this is why they're fighting me too, because I'm seeing that and I'm showing that, you guys have to talk more in your programs. You have to tell people exactly what it's about, because there are people that are of sound mind and judgment of their own life that have did everything that they find that they want to do. And now they want to give their life and participate in something so that you can move something forward. There are people who literally say, that they want to test. They want people to test them, and they've lived their life, and it's people who make billions of dollars and they give all of their money to research and the community. They'll leave it to their dog. They do these things in life, but not everyone knows that. And it's you all's responsibility to orchestrate and articulate this stuff properly. And it's a process. It's not revamping what somebody else is doing. It's making sure that you all have the correct literature for the literacy of whoever is entering in the program. Whether you have something going on once a month for a whole day. I don't care if you have to get some donuts, whatever you're doing, and put it out there with some juice, some Kringles, some carrots, some celery, and do a whole seminar every month, 12 times a year, and teach people with videos, instructions, workshops, and different things of what this program really is, the policies, and make sure that it is embedded in people's lives, because people are crying over loss and they're retaliating. It's a liability. And some people are being in jail because it's catching them by surprise. It's like, I did not agree to this. These people are saying I'm mentally ill and I'm not. But this is what religion, they're forcing it off. And, this is not what I believe in, but this is what they believe in. So they get away with it. It's involuntary voluntarism. And so that is a program integrity, but you have to look at it, for what it actually is. It's deception as well, because you guys aren't doing what you're supposed to do. And then it's like I'm being starved out here. Because how would you take $90 away from what I qualify for 290 all the way to 100 and like 80? I got $137 of food stamps this month. And that was gone the first week. It's probably like $5 on the card, because I was like, I can't buy anything right now. And I might as well pay the 100% of it, because I don't want this purchase to be completely a food share purpose, because that's how they do it. It won't be credited to me. It won't be my receipt. It goes to you. And so that $5 is just sitting there, but then you also, you have to put more money on there. It's still an additional $90 that you all have floating somewhere. And so I had a call in to WKRP yesterday too about that as well. But again, as far as trying to explain to me or, trying to fit, all you have to do is just be honest about it. And you have to get continuing education too, tuition reimbursement and stuff for your job. And when you come up with something, Melanie, you say, you know what, I'm interested in growing in my position. Is there any money here, that I can take this course or time where I can go to a resort, or do you all have something where I can go and study this policy and these paperwork? Because it's not fair for the integrity of your job that you are sitting there not knowing anything. You have not been through all the policies and stuff to be thorough. You're trying to learn like as you go, like on a ledge. You're literally tightroping. You're walking like a tightrope right now. And that's disrespectful. And I don't like that. And I have a obscenity and threat. I have a charge right now because the state of Wisconsin employees are so dumbfounded. You all sit there, play dumb, and you don't know, and you say anything, and you just making up rules as you go. And it's so disrespectful, because I was born in Wisconsin, and that says something about me, because so many people want to say everybody is the same. Like birds of a feather flock together, or if apple don't fall far from the tree. I don't appreciate that. This is not I represent myself. I haven't voted for any of y'all. You know what I'm saying? But you all are standing out there saying that you're represent. So what is that saying about me? You're not behaving that way because of me. You're doing it because of you. You choose a job because great. You have protection. You have a family. You have an employment structure, or whatever it is, whatever you call it, a community. But that's all you get. What provisions are really there for you, if that's what you call it? What protections do you have? What immunity? But you cannot be immune further than the law. All these buildings were built on the earth. They all can be knocked down. But one thing is going to be still here, the soil. What the earth matter. That's why it's things like the equator and all this stuff erupts and is built. But if you pour cement, it's going to kind of like freeze it. That's why places like Antarctica, they have little particles of gold flowing around it, and at one time, and it's just it freezes over. Something happened. There's whole cities with black people that have been flooded, and they're all underwater. And they're being there. People are learning scuba diving. And how could you swim? And they're putting somebody on blood pressure medicine, or they're saying, this is, you're so busy with this and that, and so you have to really look at what you're actually doing. You can't submit everything down and expect it to continue to grow. And that's what is kind of like what I'm getting off of what, these programs are. And I have a question about it, but I have to handle it because it's urgent. Because I have to live, and people, because I have been on these programs, they've been treating me like this is what I want. And so now I'm fighting. And I'm fighting like a motherfucker, like seriously, to prove, no, I did not know. No, this is not what I want. But they're like, no, you on all these programs. We're going to treat you like this because this is how we're supposed to treat you, because this is what you signed up for. And this is what they're about. But they won't believe that you all were dishonest to me. You see what I'm saying? So this is why I sent that email too. But you have to get strategic and creative in your job so that you can make not only more money, but you can grow. And because that's why they try to put people like me in jail, because you're going to have to face somebody out in the public and you don't want to get beat up. I'm not going to beat you up, but people might say, hey, Melanie, why you lie? You basically put a hit out on me. And you're like, no, I didn't. Yes, you did. No, I didn't know I just work here. You know what I'm saying? And they're like, but this is what you're doing. But if you know that, then you make a choice to be conscious. Some people stay unconscious in a job because they don't want the responsibility. But you say you work in program integrity. So that's more than just that little bit of things. It's honesty is what you are really focusing your position on. So you have to know how to put those words out there. You have to be profound. Like you have to be fluent, Melanie, in your job. Because if you're not fluent in your job, then it's just like you're just saying stuff. I seen that you were kind of like trying to say different things and get your words straight. And really, I don't know if you were learning as you go, and that would have been a good thing to do. But you got to tell your job, I know you want the job and stuff like that, but you're going to have to tell them, they're going to have to give you more information, because really you could be enslaved too. Like these police officers, they're out there with horrible clothes, terrible shoes and boots. Their feet are all leaning over to the side, and they force them to mental health. They put them through, have them taking people to jail. This is all through the Department of Health Services, and all these people pay these people. And it's all from taxpayers' dollars. And so this is what you have to look at. You have to stand up and say, this is what you want from yourself. Nobody knows what you're looking for. You don't accept minimum wage just because that's the law. That's as little as they have to pay you. You come and tell them, hey, I'm working this job 50 hours a week. I have to eat. I have to pay bills. Like I have a court order to try to find a place to get my son. And it's not enough out here, especially with my background. If you're coming into some entry level, you have to let them know, listen, I cannot accept you have to put your stuff together before you even apply to a job, and put that in your cover letter, your resume. Even when you're hired, when you sit down and you talk, like when I used to apply for a job and they used to ask me what amount of money, like what range, I used to write on there negotiable. And that's when I was a teenager. You know what I'm saying? Like, even in any job I used to put negotiable. And somebody told me that managed a place, they said, when people write negotiable, they just throw the application in the garbage. I said, why did you do that? Because they don't want to waste time with that, because they want to misappropriate the funds, or what? If somebody say that it's negotiable, I want to talk to you about my money, because I'm in charge of my money. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to tell you, like, $7 is not enough for this. $20 is not enough. Especially where I'm not getting an education. I don't have a food stipend. There's no cafeteria here. You know, there's no gym. I have to do all this stuff out on my own. Why I have to go everywhere else? And I'm spending most of my time here. And then I have to look at the people in their face, and I have to be strong myself. You know what I'm saying? You've been on this phone for 2 hours talking to me, and you know, this is a good thing it's me, you know, but some other things, it could be taxing to you. You know what I'm saying? But it's a learning experience. You have to do your job no matter who you call. But you have to send emails and you have to continue to learn. But everything that you do, you got to get something out of it. You got to learn. You're going to have to learn. Your job is not only what you do for somebody else. You're going to have to keep some integrity for yourself and what you can get out of it. So you got to learn. And that's even saying, you know what? Everybody knows that you're a great person. When you talk to somebody, you know what they're going to say? Oh, Melanie she on point. She know her job. I don't have to have any trouble out of Melanie. You know, she answer the questions properly, you know, and she wasn't all tired on the phone or bitching to me or whatever the situation is. And, you know, those are real words. You know what I'm saying? But if you're unethical and you're just convinced that you're right about everything, you have no room for growth. You need to talk to somebody in your agency and try to figure out how you can learn better. And also that would be too. You cannot pull from the outside and say, I'll just go to the library and pick up a book on program integrity. No, you cannot do that. You have to get the books from your job. That's why a lot of times people say you cannot serve two masters. You know what I'm saying? Because, and I don't expect you to know, but it's like, you're only one person. You know what I'm saying? You cannot work at this place and another place. You can. Some people moonlight or whatever. But what I'm saying is like, you're bringing a whole nother method into your job. And you're going off base and you're causing a problem within the program and its device. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're giving misinformation and like you're the only one with that book. You didn't introduce the book. You didn't see if it goes along with your codes or the legislator or the policy. You just say, hey, it's about program integrity. Somebody told me I need to do better with emotional intelligence. You know, I said, I don't know. Can you send me a book? I started looking at all. I said, I don't know where to go with this. I don't know what kind of stuff this person is looking for me to get. Like, I was so just standing there open, trying to figure it out. But your job has all of the stuff that you need. There's programs, there's everything that you need right there at your job. And you have to be more knowledgeable about it because it's not only just what it is. You have to understand, why did this happen? Why did this person commit fraud? But you don't get too far into somebody's life that has nothing to do with your job. So you have to know the guidelines, how far you can go. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to ask about people that are not on that person's case. You're not going to, you know, do all this stuff and want to know, hey, well, maybe it was because of the neighborhood you live in or whatever. You can do some things that may involve like a census, but everything has to be with your job. But you have to make the money to at least be able to feed yourself properly. Be able to buy yourself, you know, if you got to buy your own furniture, a nice chair for your office. You know what I'm saying? A little space heater or a fan or something like that to keep you up, because your body, you got to work every day that you're scheduled. You're going to go through anything. You got to come to work and you have to leave everything that at the door from your outside life. And that takes a lot of strength and integrity to do. But even though you don't have to talk about it, you still have a working body. You know what I'm saying? That's why a lot of people get put on drugs so they don't have to feel that. But you might have to buy a nice fan, a little fan that's quiet so you don't disrupt your other people, the co-workers or whatever, a little heater or whatever, a lap blanket or something like that. You got to get you a nice lunch box or whatever it is, a car that you can drive, some automobile to get to work. Why are you working and you're going to have to call in? This is a good job. Now you didn't went to school for it or whatever, and your car's breaking down. You know, or you can't do the things that you want to do. They say you got to wear black pants, you know, but you don't have the money for black pants. You got the money to buy blue pants. And then you don't want to buy something that you're going to have to keep buying over and over. So you want that good $300 pair of black pants that you can wear every day, but it's still going to look good and fit you just how you want, because you're going to be bouncing through the office happy about your job. You have to be able to afford what you're doing, because it's taxing. These type of jobs that you all are doing deals with life and death. And that's the gist of it. That is keeping it real. And that's a high price that you have to pay. You have to answer to somebody, and maybe you don't. Some people go to confessions. Some people do all that stuff. And some people just deal with it on their own. You know, they don't worry about the judges or whatever, but you have to internalize it. And that's what you can call your conscience and your subconscious. So this is one reason why I ask these questions. And this is just who I am. This is how I talk. And people don't like that. They're intimidated by that. But this is all information I know, and I don't get a chance. And so people are literally calling me mentally ill, and I'm being jailed and criminalized for it. I'm literally out here in the streets. I had all my stuff or whatever. And you know what? It was just something happened along the way. But what I know is I have to figure this out, because I have to write. I used to be like, I'm not snitching. I don't want to make reports. And now I've got so far in you all's programs and stuff like that you are supposed to be working for me and making a better place for me. And your job is appropriate, because this is why these people say they need to make sure that they can live and be happy and in a clean environment. But you do not force people into that just so that you don't have to see my black face, or that you can, you know what I'm saying, get a donation of blood. There's blood banks everywhere. You're even going into the schools now these people need their blood, you know. And so these are really important things that you just real life stuff. But you know, this is what I'm dealing with. And so, you know, I appreciate the information that you said to me about the Aging and Disability Resource Center, just allowing someone to stay their own decision maker. I've seen that before. It was something, and me being who I am, but I'm going to look further into that and get some more information. That is a lead. You know what I'm saying? And so that's important. I appreciate that information from you. And that's why I sent the email, because I'm putting it out there and I'm like, I don't know exactly where to go, but I use Google. So, and I use my own mind, but then sometimes I write and say, okay, well, I don't always want to give somebody the credit for where I'm going, but I already know about the Asian Disability Resource Center, you know, but for you to tell me that, I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is an important thing. But, you know, I'm going to tell you something. There's some sneaky ways of these programs in these cities that they would make somebody award as one false move. I'm thinking that, I'm signing this for myself. And but you didn't read that fine print, or it was not explained to you. That's why people talk about those these and thous and thes and reds and the other red, the color and the present tense or the past tense. That's why I'm so thorough. And I'm so happy that I have this experience. And people say, oh, you just playing, you know what I'm talking. I don't, because all of a sudden, I fill out this paperwork, and then now you guys are saying, oh, well, you revoked that, or I have to be on programs and something you say. Then now you say I'm incompetent. But it is something, because I don't want to have to go to jail and be in jail for 6 months. And then they say, oh, this person is innocent. But I just literally was in jail without a bond. Why would I have to go to jail because you say that I'm stupid? For something that all I have to do is tell the truth on. That is true crime. And I have to speak truth into power. And so, you know, I know that you have some tasks before you that I had asked that you can send to me. And so it's just so important that I get this information mailed through electronic and postal mail. I want the hard copies, but I also, if you can send them through electronic mail, just so they won't get lost in the mail, I would just really appreciate that, because I like to hold on to the paper so that I can have, you know, I like to just hold it and highlight it. And then if I don't have internet access, I still have the paper to read, and I can go somewhere and sit down and just read and not have to worry about, you know, having an internet access, because I have my phones, but I don't have like a computer. I can't even go to the libraries all the time or whatever. But so if you can, or just to print the stuff out is sometimes $1 a page, or the internet is like 75 cents a minute at some places. So if you can send that just to tell me about your program, and just send a list of, what, and then if you can tell me just to confirm what you're planning on sending, and then if you want to talk to me about some questions or some comments or any statements that you have that you might gather from this phone conversation, I can appreciate it. But that's pretty much what I have to say right now. I can just say so much, but you don't just get something because it seems fun, because they're hiring, because that's the real world. You could be very well signing somebody's life over, and it's a drastic thing. And that person doesn't know, and then it's hard. And then, you know what? You ruin whole families and generations of people. And they have those images where they come from like a caveman. They walk and you see some people wearing a suit or looking in their mirror, or like the little cat looks in the mirror and then it's like a lion or a panther. But then you take that away and turn it into just a void shell of a body, where these people are constantly having surgeries and taking a piece out there and still giving them a medication and having them holding on from the medication, and they keep taking it, and it's all a spiritual thing. And eventually they're a hollow shell, just like those chocolate Easter bunnies, hollow, but they say a lot of times it's black women, menopause. I don't believe it. It's about steady building your blood. They're not going to tell you that because they have a specific practice. Those are bombs. That's a war being waged. And some people that are fighting against different cultures or community, whether, like I said, it's religions, because not all religions, they don't recognize the same. Some people say that their job is to cut your head off when they see you because you do not believe in their God. You don't have to say shit else. No other explanation, actually. If you don't profess the same God, they believe that they can just cut your head off. And they do it in ways now where people are walking around like zombies, because it'll get very gruesome out here in this day and age. But it was like that before. People were getting stoned to death, hung on crosses, because they don't believe in what others are believing in. Melanie, this is real. This is happening today. It's happening to me. And this is why the school to prison pipeline is imperative. And it's something that people should know about, because this is why they don't give the education. This is why some religions don't get the books, and they change it up, and they steal people's information and their writings, and they audit them. They seize their property. They seize their family trees and all that stuff, so that they don't know what they're getting themselves into. They don't have a comparison, but they say that everyone is supposed to get a comparative education, but it's not. And this is why people are fighting right now about diversity, equity, and inclusion too. And you know what? Inclusion means to be the same. Everybody is not going to compare, but you have to pick on somebody your own size. And people see things in numbers and quantities and qualities, but they're doing it in a different way. They've spent thousands of years of coaching one another and seeing what works and putting these things out through blind studies, watching people. It looks like you're looking at a mirror, but there's someone on the other side watching you. Just go through whatever you possibly go through, pulling your hair out, being as pretty as you can be, until you get starving, until you trying to crash through the wall, and they watch you. They put different dusts and chemicals and all kinds of things through the air and sit there and watch you. Like I said, that hospital called the police on me, and those deputies sit up there at Frederick South near Walmart and watch me scream and holler and beg them, please don't let me die like this. And they said she really believes that she's going to die because she doesn't have her medication. That was abuse. And these same people, I have not reported them. And sometimes I believe that they're trying to hurry up and arrest me, but they won't take my complaints. Just like you. You said there's no form. I said, what is she on? Like, why are you calling me saying that? Why are you hiding these forms from me? You know what I'm saying? It's just another person that I'm talking to that's just making sure they call and it's on their phone bill that they did call me, and pushing another note. The same thing over and over constantly, but no actual solutions. But then you told me your job is a little different, where I wouldn't be the one making the report unless I was telling about what I noticed that someone else is doing. Like if someone stole my food share card and been spending my money or something. You know what I'm saying? And so these are real issues, but they should not persuade you in any way when you're doing your job. You still have to go through the textbook. That's why it's important to continue your education, not outside of your job, but you have to go through some accreditation within your job. And what's true through the state of Wisconsin? What is going to collaborate or coincide or combine with the rules and the laws? Like, you know, do you, like, is there a specific statute that you do your job off of?
No.
Okay, so some places have, like I got a email yesterday and it said that they go off of Wisconsin statute, something in particular, when I want to file a complaint against the Department of Children and Family Services, right? And they said, okay, well, they run their business off of a specific statute. So that could be something that you ask and then you learn all the rules on that. And that's how you get promotions. And that's how you become more of a leader. But some people, like I had applied from a job, I had a management experience, but I didn't want them doing background checks all on me. I didn't want to have the responsibility, you know, so I just applied as a regular cashier but some people want to stay at that level. But if you want to advance, you have to advance in that job. You can't just make up the rules as you go, though. You can't, even though you have outside information, you still have to base it on all literally like textbook. You know, even though you got this education from your job, you show up like you don't know anything, prepared to be a canvas to learn from your job, because there's lawyers that literally go through mess. The CEO of United Healthcare was murdered. I don't know why, but apparently if they're mentioning his job, maybe it has something to do with the job. Because they have no business mentioning somebody's job in their personal life. That's unethical. And I'm all about life. But people are literally going through all kinds of stuff because these people sometimes at your lower level, like me, these dispatchers, I have to go to court. My competency is being raised because these dispatchers found it funny. They found their job fun. They were laughing, playing games with me, calling me Jane Doe, all kinds of stuff. And what they get, probably a season ticket to Six Flags Great America or something through their human resource department. Because I've seen jobs where I got, you know, human resources. You buy a Six Flags season pass or whatever. You go to human resources and they have all kinds of stuff that you can get because you are entitled to amusement. But you still cannot do that like murder for hire, because it goes up to a different level. So if you're in that same situation, you don't want to be like, and I'm not trying to be vulgar to you, so please don't take this the wrong way, because anything that I said, I'm not trying to harm you. I'm just telling you the truth in your whole thing, whether you're an investigator or not, but for your nose and for your understanding. You don't want to be suicidal on somebody in somebody's job. Like, you don't want to take your whole company down unless you came to get hired to sabotage, and people do that too. But you want to make sure that everyone is growing from just your little part that you do. So that if that means that if you're, you know, clogging the toilet, you know, you might want to suggest to the janitor, hey, you know what? This toilet paper, or there's a toilet that's clogged, you know, can you do something about it? You know, I clogged the toilet. Can you do something about it? Or, you know, like little things that you're doing can go a long way, instead of someone plopping down on the toilet because they really have to go, and then they sit on your bowel movement or whatever it is, and they didn't happen to know. You keep your situation tidy. And that's the same, like, you know, your paperwork has to be accurate. People make malicious statements. They falsify documents because it's good. You know, they probably watched some anime or something the night before, and they get all into it. They say, well, I can apply this. This is going to be fun. And they sit back and laugh, and they don't even have to have a job. They'll quit, and they ruin somebody's total life, and the business goes, you know, it's in a lot of trouble, and people sue. So that's, one thing, and I'm documenting this stuff because it's gotten to the point where my children are being abused. I'm being abused, but one thing, my children are happy and they're in situations where they don't have to be outside like that, but I'm literally out here. I have to walk out into the day, and I don't know if someone's going to call the police on me. They're going to say everywhere I'm loitering or whatever, it's a tough situation. And I brave through the cold every night. And you know what? I'm not going to a doctor to tell me about my life. I'm the only expert on me. And that's why I said I don't necessarily have to have this healthcare, because I want to make decisions. I want to self-pay. And so that's what, I would ask you to send information, about, because you all don't like that self-paying thing. But, that's pretty much what I have to say right now, actually, though. So.
Okay. Yeah, and I'll get those information together. I'll put a packet together and I'll mail it out to you at the 1213 Buchanan Street, and then I'll email it as well as I can.
Okay, yeah, and you can send some things also out. You can send some stuff through email, and I want you to send me out what you were talking about as far as in the email, as far as what you were saying. You can put it in a hard copy, but email it what you were saying about the Asian Disability Resource Center, about the competency thing, allowing someone to stay their own decision maker and all that. A lot of times those are things where people probably, I don't know, I don't want to just say it, but I have an idea. But my thing is to not be like mentally ill. But as I'm going through these motions of them trying to drive me insane, that they might say that's a disability or a disadvantage, and so I got to make sure. So I'm going to check into that, but send that information. And so can you just tell me exactly what all you plan to send out? And again, like I said, look over my email and call me again. But do you know exactly some of the things? And then again, you can call me and send it in the email too about what you plan to send, Melanie.
Yeah. I will go ahead and I'll get, I got a list of everything that I'm going to get together and send to you. So that'll work for us.
So what is the, and when you say us, who do you mean?
Program integrity.
Okay. And then so, well, how do you spell your name? Because I spell it MELONIE.
ANIE.
Can you spell it out?
MELANIE.
Okay. Melanie. Okay. And then, can you just tell me the list that you have right now that you plan to send?
It is the information from the ADRC about the competency. It is the information regarding the grocery store, because you said you were interested in seeing about eligibility with the grocery store, and information in regards to okay, and then information in regards to the food share changing.
The food share changing?
Yeah.
What is that?
From the 290, from the amount of 290.
Oh, you have that on there?
Amount.
Okay, and then, but you're supposed to send me about your program policies and what your job is about. You're supposed to send me the policies about food share and medical for health care. Okay. So send me all those policies about the programs and stuff like that. That's one of the first things I want, that I said initially. That's mandatory. And so whatever information as well that you have, you can look into, but that's basically what I I asked you about just the qualifications and the policies and the laws, if you have the statutes of what your job is and things like that. But that's all that I asked you about, just what your program actually means, integrity, and what, you know, what you all expect from people and what you want, like the cost of it all. But that's pretty much all. Is there anything that you have, anything more that you have to say? Because I know that I asked you to look over my email. Just forward me that email that you have, or who sent it to you,
Yep.
the information who sent that email to you. I would appreciate getting that. And then that way I can just follow through with that, make sure to keep up with my own email, to stay in this leadership position, but also just look at it through there too. And then once you look through this stuff, Melanie, then like you can say, oh, you know what? Okay, I came up with some more information about something else that you wrote in your email, but also then you can tell me, okay, that's not your department, that's somebody else's department, or you can forward it to as many of those people that you know about within your agency, or through your through the state of Wisconsin departments or whatever. So
Okay.
yeah, that's most appropriate. But yeah, like, you know, I discussed some of those things have nothing to do with because you, now what department is the for food share, you all work through Department of what now for your program integrity?
Health
What is it?
and Human Services.
For what is it?
Health and Human Services.
Right, Health and Human Services. Okay. Yeah, that's why I just want to make sure. And so that's who funds your program through the program, into your agency, the program integrity, right?
Correct.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, I appreciate the information. And so
All right. You are all set then. You have a good day.
I know what I'm doing. I'm not asking you for that. I told you what I asked you for. And so I don't need you to tell me what to do. But what I want from you is to make sure what I asked you for, that I just get that in a real way, and just get the actual things. And you know, if anything, I hope to see more actual health and healthcare, because it's really more of a sick care thing. And people are out here doing all kinds of stuff to make it. People are stealing to eat. I've stolen food before in my life, and you know what? I probably didn't have to. I probably only had to ask somebody for something. But it's that serious with independence. It's a hard thing, but I don't steal. But what I can tell you is it's a mess out here. And so just if you all can just do better with your integrity, honestly, and not look for someone else's integrity, because I'm telling you, if you put out something, you know, if you're talking to somebody in one way, if you speak to them in English, you might want to get spoken to in English. But if you change that language, and then somebody's probably like, okay, I might want to talk to you in that. So if you're putting out that sort of energy, or that sort of whatever you're doing in your alliances or whatever, then you might get that back. And so it's like, oh, but wait a minute, hold on. This is what they're doing. This is what this is about. They took it to the street. So this is the street in the street bar. Ain't no rules, ain't no referees now. And so that's why, you know, you learn and you just keep it on textbook. But that's all for now, I suppose. Yeah. But this definitely can continue. But please send out those mailings and the things that you have to send me. I appreciate that information. It's 1:08 p.m. So.
All right. I will get those out to you, and then
2025.
And then we'll follow up from there.
Okay, I appreciate it. I'm Jasmine Renee Davis. I'm on my own.
Thank you.
For what?
Bye-bye.
I'm here. Okay. So now I have to call this too. I have to urinate. I'm hungry. I got some juice. My phone is hot. Oh. Ooh. Oh, I have to urinate. Yes. Oh, okay. Ooh. Stuff together. Ooh. It's like raining outside. Man, come on. Ugh. I gotta walk. Or find shit. I got a choice. To walk and get some food and be all rained on. Or uh, um, or not get rained on and be hungry. That would make sense. Do something to go somewhere. Shit. Oh, I can drink this juice off right now. Some juice. That's not even that much. It's not even that much. This is how much juice I have. But ooh. Mm. Ooh. I'm so hungry. It's like my body just grabbed that juice. Just grab it. Shit. I'm hungry. Ooh. Damn. I got some calls I have to make. This shit is not even. Ugh. What? Man. Somewhere get some potato chips. I don't really have any money. Like, I have some money. Ooh. my darn flip phone? Hot sauce, soy sauce, baking soda. Oh, goodness. Water. Apple pie spice. Okay, some of this. I be hungry, so I don't feel like messing around with these folks. I try to get right to whatever I have to do and handle my matters. Shit. Everybody know I'm hungry, but people can't know though. I don't want to be hungry, and I don't want to have to go to people and just like ask them for their food. It's nobody's responsibility to feed me. It's my responsibility. I ain't gonna start that kind of relationship. I'm not even like building. I'm gonna take care of myself, because where I am right now, I don't want to put like, oh, that's where I be with somebody in that relationship. Nah, man, I'm straight. Cause that's what, and then it's like a waste of time. Like, I don't need a crutch. I need myself. Is to learn, hear through some things, no matter how hard it is. Listen up. I'm not gonna do something that's gonna jeopardize my life, man. Like, shit. Yeah, I watched Jeopardy. Talking about whatever for 500, for 1,000, daily double, and all that stuff, like Wheel of Fortune. They got a Vanna White law and all kinds of shit out. Man, they snapping out. These people, man, please, they having the time. And fuck that. I'm not missing out on living. I want to have some fun too. I want to live my life in a real way. No, that shit don't be fun for me. So, I don't have to lack amusement. You're not going to say I'm doing this because I might. And that's why they do it too. They put it out there that my intentions were to harass them like I'm having fun doing this shit. Come on now. They words be awful. Like, you ain't giving me no fulfilling my wishes. It's not what I want. It's not what I asked you about. Fuck that. Keep that shit real. Somebody need to understand. Shit. It's so serious out here. That's why they sit there. No, and intention matters. They do not properly investigate before they arrest. These police are not fucking detectives. Hassling somebody with some raggedy ass shoes on, about to fall the fuck over, trying to fucking, man, one police supervisor, Tinseltown movie theater, called the police on me on some bullshit. His car was still fucking in motion. I looked at him, I said, ain't this about a bitch? This man about to fuck up his head, his leg twisted and everything. Sue the city for that shit. He at work. Trying to take me down. Gonna tell somebody don't come because they ain't gonna do nothing but upset me. They were hunting me. That whole time over there, they were hunting me. But his head was about to get fucked up, messed up from his door. He talk about he know me. He talked to me 1,000 times and shit. I don't know where at because I wasn't there. Oh my goodness, they out here, man. But you know that I don't like how they do their stuff. They reports they doing some of everything though. But I'm gonna eat this apple pie spice and this cinnamon, nutmeg, and allspice. And it is putting a little something on my belly. My body right there. I don't know what, but it's supposed to distribute through my whole body. Give me something to eat. Go somewhere and sit on the side. Sit on the side of the road. That's what it's I'm getting to at this point. Mm-hmm. That work means something like lifting weights. I might start off trying to lift 30 pounds, 40 pounds, or whatever, and I might have to sit it down for a couple of days. I'm not tired, but I need to make sure I build my muscle and I feel it. And I might skip a day, or I say, okay, I'm going to sit this down for 5 minutes. And then I get better. I say, okay, now I can do this every day, 5 times a day. But just last month, I was having to take a break because it was a lot. It was a different kind of like stress on my body because it was a change. And I had to know if it was healthy or not. So my body went into a mode to make sure that I don't self-destruct. That's what the body does. The body heals itself. The body is not going to tear itself down. The body is going to make sure that I grow, and it's contingent and it feeds off of hydration. That's why sometimes people lifting weight, they might get a little muscle cramp or a Charlie horse when they stretch their leg out. I don't know what it's called, like a cramp or something like that. And that's why sometimes through like menstruation or different things like that, it's nice to have some warm beverages or something good to eat. And a lot of people like chocolate because it comes from the earth. But it just really depends, like natural things. But and then eventually it just continue to grow. And then I say, okay, I take it up a notch, and then I go through the same thing. And then I say, I know that I can do this. I can live. I can make it. I'm not going to say I can't do this. What else the fuck can I do? I'm not quitting on myself. But I know I'm hungry. I gotta get my phone. So So I'm gonna make this call to 2115. This. The heck? This ain't right. I did intentionally. No, I did not. And you know I didn't. And that state, the governor, somebody claimed that it might not have been, but I got an email yesterday afternoon talking about, you like to hear from constituents, but it's a legal matter, so you can't get into. I said, I didn't vote for you. I'm not your constituent. I'm independent. And it is not a legal matter, and you know that. So why are you saying that? What I talked to you about said more than just a legal matter, but you know the story, huh? They sit there and they basing it. That state trooper had emailed me too, talking about that it's not. I said, okay, you know what? It is what it is, because I shouldn't even had to have that conversation. Why don't you talk about why that conversation was had in the first place? Why you leaving out why your people arrested me? So why don't you tell the district attorney exactly what the call was really about? Why are you leaving that out? Why are you sitting there jeopardizing this district attorney's career and all that he stand for, he worked for, by leaving stuff out so he can determine, oh, wait a minute, this is not Jasmine Renee Davis' intention. She was only trying to get through, and this woman found that she was so smarter than Jasmine Renee Davis, and she wanted to prove that she gave Jasmine Davis a hard time, and Jasmine Renee Davis was only trying to get through to her and want the better out of a public business and situation. See, if you're going to let a motherfucker argue, but you're going to control and enslave them people and let them contribute to the state school to prison pipeline, and they sue your ass, and then you don't have a job. But you know what? That's why I said some of them people are suicide bombers. They know. They go out, they be rich anyway. They get them jobs and make $7 a week and shit. And they own houses and every goddamn thing. They live their life. Shit, they got their own money. Now they want to be in control. So don't I ain't faking it, man. I know what's up. Shit. I've been big. I've been a boss. But I'm growing. I'm learning. I don't have it all together. But I'm not messing around with these people. My phone's supposed to be charging. I literally got this much peanut butter. I'm about to eat this. Ooh, man. Ooh. I ain't scraped a peanut butter jar like this before. But I'm scraping it now. It's today. This is today. So. My phone. Jasmine Renee Davis.
Calling 211. If this is an emergency, please hang up and dial 911. For English, press 1. Para continuar en español, oprima 2. Hi, if you are calling about substance use recovery, press 3. For referrals to mental health support, press 6. For all other needs, press 0.
I'm about to get involved with all them.
If you are calling about substance use recovery, press 3. For referrals to mental health support, press 6. For all other needs, press 0. To better serve you, please enter your 5-digit zip code. If you don't know your
This
calls
top
may be
dollar
monitored or
they
recorded
asking.
for quality
Shit,
and
ain't
training
no way I'm about to
purposes.
let them boss
If
me
you are in
and do all
Milwaukee
this shit
County,
as much
then
as
you
I
need
gotta put
assistance
into
with
this.
housing
I'm not
issues
giving
or
my
are
life.
homeless and need emergency shelter, please press 1. If you need assistance with alcohol or other substance abuse issues, press 3. For all other needs and concerns, please press 9.
Just want to see what they talking about.
In order to best serve you, it is necessary that 211 freely exchange information with other providers within the continuum of care, including shelters and housing providers. It may also be necessary for 211 to leave a message if you are unavailable. By pushing 1, you are consenting to allow your information to be shared via this network for the purposes of gaining access to housing resources. You also consent to 211 following up by calling you to update the status of your housing crisis, including leaving a message if you are unavailable. If you understand and consent to these conditions, please press 1 now. To repeat this information, please press the pound sign. To return to the main menu, please. In order to best serve you, it is necessary that 211 freely exchange information with other providers within the continuum of care, including shelters and housing providers. It may also be necessary for 211 to leave a message if you are unavailable. By pushing 1, you are consenting to allow your information to be shared via this network for the purposes of gaining access to housing resources. You also consent to 211 following up by calling you to update the status of your housing crisis, including leaving a message if you are unavailable. If you understand and consent to these conditions, please press 1 now.
I'm gonna ask him
To
what
repeat
else they
this,
talking about.
please hold for the next available specialist.
Oh shit. These empty bottles I have to fill up with fucking stuff.
We apologize for the wait. Press 9 to...
Hello, this is Sherry from 211. And what is your name, please?
I'm Jasmine Renee Davis.
Jasmine.
I'm Jasmine Renee
Yes,
Davis.
Evan, how can I help you today?
Oh, I'm not only Jasmine. I'm Jasmine Renee Davis. I like being Jasmine Renee Davis.
How can I help you today?
First of all, you all have this disclaimer about consent. Can you tell me who all you give my information to? Because that was not listed.
Well, 211 is basically a database of resources, so it depends on what you're looking for. I don't know how to answer that actually. What exactly are you looking for?
I'm calling. I have a court order for housing, so like emergency housing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what city are you in?
I'm in Wisconsin. You can base it out of Kenosha, southeast Wisconsin.
Okay. So you're in Kenosha area?
Yes.
Let me see what's available in that area for housing.
So Kenosha has the shelter there, it looks like. The Shalom Center. Have you reached out to them?
Yes, I have. So
Okay. That's kind of the only shelter they have in that area.
no, it doesn't have to
Racine
be.
has
Oh, go ahead.
Racine has a shelter, which is Halo.
Halo told me I have to have a Racine, Wisconsin identification card to go there.
That might be the case. A lot of times they do require it to be the same county.
Yeah, so that is just so messed up too. That the counties can't even take care of their people. They put them in the problem and then they cycle them to a whole nother situation because the jail is not a hotel. So, what other places do you have in Wisconsin?
So do you have a PO and stuff?
No, I don't.
Okay. I mean,
When
in
you say
Mexico, I
PO,
have
wait, when you say
several
PO,
living places. I have the shelters in each of the counties, which those are the ones for your area. That area does not have, that we know of, does not have motel vouchers. So then, if you're a victim of domestic violence, I can give you a domestic violence shelter to try calling. Otherwise, it's low income housing in the area.
well, it doesn't have to be in this area. It could just be who has availability right now.
None of us at the call center would know what has availability.
Oh,
We
you
would just be able
changed
to give you
that
the
because,
phone numbers for the different places.
oh, okay. So when did you all change that?
We've never had the listing of availability
Yeah.
for low income housing.
Oh, not low income housing. I'm talking about for like homeless shelters and things like that.
We've never had resources other than the phone numbers for Kenosha County.
Oh, maybe not for Kenosha County, but in May of 2024, I spoke with someone more than one time and through United Way, Impact 211, and that person told me, and even before then, who had like availability in their shelters. They were calling the shelters and they would say, okay, well this shelter has this,
Oh,
or
that's the coordinate entry staff, and that changed. So the coordinate entry staff from Milwaukee County does the shelter placement for at least Milwaukee County area. I can put you over to their phone number or to their voicemail to leave a message.
you said that changed. What is it called? Coordinated entry?
Coordinated entry. The coordinated entry staff from Milwaukee County do the shelter placements for Milwaukee County.
In the surrounding areas though, because it was more than just Milwaukee County that I had talked to them about.
No, it's been Milwaukee County.
Oh
for
yeah.
7+ years. I've been here for 7 years. Otherwise, what we do is give out the phone numbers for the different shelters.
Oh no, I can't find that. I mean, I can look up shelters on my own, but the thing is, you all should have some information about different shelters in different places, right?
I would just look up on our database for the phone numbers for you to call.
And so, what other resources do you have that
We
impact?
have the sober living, the low-income housing, any kind of housing programs that Milwaukee County would have. The coordinated entry staff would push you through. So I can slide you over to the coordinated entry staff to leave a message for them.
You could transfer the call there. Do they have a direct phone number?
We are not allowed to give that out. I could transfer you over to leave a message for them
Oh, why couldn't you tell me the phone number?
because we're not allowed to,
Okay, but why? I just asked. Okay.
because that's our policy. So I'll slide you over.
And so, no, you won't slide me over. Slide, yeah, slide, bitch, electric. Boogie, woogie, woogie. Shit, bitch. Answer my question. Shit. You already said that. Why you failing?
You are experiencing a housing crisis or homelessness, please leave a message with your name and a good callback number, and we will return your call in the order it was received.
They want to know something. Go ahead. It's a square dance. I'm Jasmine Renee Davis. Yes, my phone number is 1262-498-6963 and 1262-505-7137. My email address is jasmine_reneedavis@outlook.com. I am calling because I out here in the streets, of course, but there's also now a court order so that I would have to maintain some kind of residence, whether it be in a shelter or something, to be able to get my son. So I know United Way has different programs and things like that. So I'm asking that you call me. It's an urgent matter, but I would appreciate a call. I'm Jasmine Renee Davis. So that's that. I'm about to come back on with a live video soon, but later. There it is. I'm gonna charge my phone.